There's a version of you that tries too hard. You've seen him. He talks a little too much, laughs a little too loud at his own jokes, agrees with everything she says, pays for everything before she even reaches for her bag. He's doing everything right, and somehow, it's making things worse. Here's the thing nobody tells you. Trying to impress someone is one of the fastest ways to stop impressing them. But there's a different way, a way that actually works. And once you understand the psychology behind it, you'll never approach this the same way again. This is how to impress a girl without trying too hard. Part 1. The paradox of trying. Let's start with the paradox. The more visibly you try to impress someone, the more you signal that you need their approval. And the moment someone senses you need their approval, they instinctively value you less. This isn't mean, it's not shallow, it's just how human psychology works. Think about it from the other direction. Have you ever met someone who clearly didn't care what you thought of them and found yourself immediately more interested in them? That pull you felt? That's what we're talking about. Psychologists call this reactance. When something feels scarce or hard to get, we automatically assign it more value. When something is freely and desperately offered, we assign it less. This is why the guy who's too eager almost never wins. Not because he's a bad person, but because his eagerness is communicating the wrong thing. It's saying, I need you to like me, and that single message undermines everything else he does. So what's the alternative? It's not pretending you don't care. It's not playing games or being cold. It's something much simpler and much more powerful. Part 2. What actually impresses her. So if trying too hard doesn't work, what does? The answer is presence. Not your achievements, not your car, not your Instagram. How present you are in the moment with her. Most guys, when they're trying to impress someone, are actually completely absent. They're in their head, thinking about what to say next, worrying about how they're coming across, calculating whether she's impressed yet. She can feel that absence. Even if she can't name it, she feels it, and it creates distance. But when someone is genuinely present with you, actually listening, actually curious, actually there, it's one of the rarest and most attractive things a person can experience. Because here's what genuine presence communicates. You are interesting enough to have my full attention, right now, without distraction. That is more impressive than anything you could say about yourself. More impressive than any story, any achievement, any flex. Research by Harvard psychologist Daniel Wegner showed that people who make us feel truly heard and understood are rated as significantly more attractive and intelligent, even when they've said very little about themselves. Let that land for a second. Saying less about yourself, but listening more, actually makes you more impressive, not less. Part 3. The confidence mistake. The second thing that actually impresses people is real confidence. But most guys have completely the wrong idea of what confidence is. They think confidence is talking loudly, dominating the conversation, never admitting uncertainty, always having a story that tops the last one. That's not confidence, that's insecurity wearing a costume. Real confidence is quieter than that. It looks like being comfortable with silence. It looks like disagreeing with her, calmly, without apology, when you actually disagree. It looks like admitting you don't know something without embarrassment. It looks like not needing to fill every pause with noise. Here's a simple test for real confidence. Can you sit in a moment of silence with someone and feel completely fine? Most people can't. The anxious ones rush to fill the silence because silence feels like rejection. The confident ones let it breathe because they're not afraid of what it means. That comfort, that stillness is magnetic. It communicates, I don't need this moment to go a certain way. I'm fine either way. And paradoxically, that ease is exactly what makes her want things to go a certain way. Dr. Robert Cialdini's research on social influence found that people who appear self-contained and unaffected by social pressure are consistently rated as more credible, more attractive, and more trustworthy than those who visibly seek approval. Part 4. The interest trap. Here's the third mistake guys make when trying to impress someone. They talk about themselves too much. Not because they're arrogant, but because they think that's how you impress someone. By showing them what you have, what you've done, who you are. But here's what the research actually shows. A Harvard study found that talking about yourself activates the same reward centers in the brain as food and money. People love talking about themselves, which means the person who lets them do it is the person they end up liking most. So instead of trying to impress her with your stories, ask better questions. Get curious about her, not surface questions, not what do you do and where are you from? Deeper ones. What made her choose that path? What she'd do differently? What she's most proud of that nobody ever asks about? Watch what happens when you ask questions like that. She lights up, because nobody asks questions like that, and the person who does instantly stands out. You haven't said a single impressive thing about yourself, and you've just become the most interesting person she's talked to in months. Part 5. The identity shift. Everything we've talked about so far is a behavior. Be more present, be quieter, ask better questions. But here's the deeper truth underneath all of it. The reason most guys try too hard is because somewhere underneath, they don't fully believe that who they already are is enough. So they perform, they add things, they inflate things, they prove things, because they think the real version of themselves needs improvement before it's presented. But here's what's interesting. The things that genuinely attract people to each other are almost never the performed things. They're the unguarded things. The moment someone laughs at something they thought was too weird to say out loud. The moment someone admits something real instead of something impressive. The moment the performance drops and the actual person shows up. That's the moment attraction accelerates, every time. So the real work isn't learning better techniques. It's learning to trust that showing up as yourself, genuinely, calmly, curiously, is already more impressive than anything you could perform. So let's bring this together. Impressing someone has nothing to do with impressing someone. It has everything to do with how you make them feel. Heard, interesting, comfortable, seen. The guy who does that, without desperation, without performance, without noise, is the one she thinks about on the drive home, not the one who tried hardest, the one who needed to try the least. And here's the thing, that guy isn't some rare personality type. He's not more attractive or more naturally charming than you. He just understands something most people don't. Now you do too. If this changed how you think about this, you already know what to do. Subscribe to Signal Codes. There's a lot more to decode.